now to 21st century students in our diverse school system. There are many miseducated adults who are having an allergic reaction to that because it's so inconsistent with the education that they were denied about LGBTQ history and LGBTQ peoples. I also think that misinformation is the biggest thing that's happening right now. There are lots of very outraged parents and citizens who will hear a one-off anecdote of a lesson being taught in a school or a book that some families have deemed inappropriate, and they have somehow been convinced that this is happening everywhere across all schools. Really, these very viral examples that we see on social media represent only 1/1000th of what is actually happening in schools. So I just think that the misinformation, just has folks, in a frenzy,
so,
really.
Dr. Harper, then I would assume that answer stands for what we're seeing in the business world too, with backlash against companies like Target and Bud Light and other companies.
Absolutely, and don't leave out Adidas. I wrote a piece for Forbes last week that was all about the backlash that Adidas was receiving for having two gender non-binary models in swimsuits on its website. We here at the USC Race and Equity Center are committed to facts and evidence. So let's take that Adidas example for a moment. I scrolled through every page of the women's apparel section on that website, and there was a gross underrepresentation of gender non-binary people. But yet you would think from reading Twitter and other social media apps that every outfit on the Adidas website in the women's section was being modeled by a genderqueer person, and that's just not true. Right? These are confirmable things. So I think that, very smart people ought to, really rely on evidence and data.
Of course, there are plenty of parents out there who say, and let's just make it clear, obviously, it's Pride Month right now, and a lot of these issues are coming up. That's what we saw in the Saticoy Elementary School in North Hollywood. They wanted a Pride event, and parents were protesting this last week. Now, getting back to my point, though, there are parents who say, I have no problem with gay issues, LGBTQ plus issues. My problem is that I want to be the one to educate my child. I don't want that to take place in the classroom. Your thoughts?
Yeah, one of the things that we're seeing play out nationally is a debate about parents' rights to determine what their children learn in school. But what about what everybody else's children learn in schools? Sure, you can very selfishly be concerned about your own kids. I think that's totally fair. But what about the hundreds, thousands, or millions of other children whose parents are not equipped to teach them about LGBT people? Or, those kids who live in homophobic and transphobic families where it is dangerous really to talk about these issues at the dinner table. Those children and young people also deserve a schooling experience that very appropriately teaches age-appropriate content about LGBT issues. It can't be just a certain segment of parents and families who have rights. What about all the others?
Well, we know that there are strong opinions on both sides of this issue. So thanks again for being with us tonight and helping us unpack this. This is Dr. Sean Harper, founder and executive director of the USC Race and Equity Center. Dr. Harper, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, still ahead, why you might want to fill up your gas tank as soon as possible.